What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today, this is going to be the part 2 to the Great Might Gaine review. We're going to be taking a look at the option part set today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's see what we get inside here. So we do have another manual for the option set. Ooh, with another wire. You get 2 wires with this one. So we do get 2 of those. You do get another version of the Great Dourinken, so I like that. You get 2 other swords for the Double Dourinken, and you get the other Dourinken sword, and you get the double hilt there. So that's pretty cool. You do get Might Gunner. He does not transform, but you do get Might Gunner, so you can do the perfect mode. It looks like you do get another version of the chest plate. This one is supposed to simulate when Might Gaine is activating and how you can kind of retract and contract this. So you do get that. You do get another head to simulate the last episode in Might Gaine. And it looks like you get 2 hilt parts there. So you get that. And then, oh, you get another acrylic stand. Let's see, this is tape on there. Let's go ahead and take a look at that while we have it here. That's pretty big. I can pull all the tape off. All right, there we go. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh, wow, that's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So this guy, what episode is this guy in? He's in the 20s episodes, and then you get an acrylic stand plate that has Might Gaine on the back there. So I'll be interested to see what that looks like. So all in all, pretty decent option set. So now we'll take a look at the manual next. So let's take a look at this manual. So of course, first we do get 2 wires with this version of the option set. So they look exactly like the other one that we got with the Might Gaine. So you do get 2 of those. And let's take a look at this manual. Now, this option set. Now, one thing this is the parts count here. So you do have all of that. One thing about Sentinel, when they do option sets, their option sets tend to be quite expensive. This guy was not, he wasn't cheap, okay? But I definitely was going to get it. And to be honest, it released maybe like 2 weeks after the original release. So you didn't have to wait very long. I don't know if that had to do with them, because I did get these from China. And I don't know if they were maybe trying to beat the thing for the tariffs and stuff, even though I did pay a tariff on this guy, but it wasn't as much as with Might Gaine, because he wasn't, the price for this option set wasn't nearly as much. But you do get that there, and it's showing you how to put on the new Might Gaine symbol and how you do that there, the Double Dourinken. Sorry, I keep hitting the camera there. So you got that, and then it looks like we've got a decent set here. So there's not really much to this. So now what we'll do is we'll take out all of the parts and we'll take a look at them a little more closely. So let's take a look at the accessories that this option set comes with. So first up, we got a new head. So this is supposed to simulate the final battle in Might Gaine. So he has that, so I'm glad to get another one. So as you can see, these 2 are on there. So hopefully I won't have the same problem that I had with the original, but it does look pretty nice. So that's what you have for the new head. And then you get an alternate breastplate for Might Gaine. So this one is supposed to simulate the transformation sequence where this actually pops out. So when you hit the switch, it comes out automatically like that. Now, I will say that I like the original a little bit more, just because in the anime, the Might Gaine symbol would actually be more pronounced than this, but this is just supposed to simulate that actual transformation sequence. So I think that it does look good, but the fact that you can do that, you can lock it in place like that, and then you can open that up and then it'll pop out. So you do have an alternate one there. Then you get your alternate Dourinken. So you get 2 of these swords. So this one will be exactly like the first one. So you do get that. You do get the hilt for the other one, so you can just plug this one in. So you would pull this one out, put this one in, put the other sword from the other release out. So you get that there, so you can do the Double Dourinken. And then you get 2 of these. These are the alternate ones here. And so you can take the blades out as well. So you can take that out and then put this in. And then once you get the other sword out, you can put that on the other side there. So that's what you have for the Double Dourinken. And then you get the regular version of the Dourinken with the actual blade. I always call this the optical illusion, because usually they would have it pointed towards the frame like this. And so the front of the blade would always look bigger. And so I call that the Obari style pose because a lot of Obari's mecha, he always had that pose, but it does get slimmer as you go down. And then when you come back up, this side of the blade is actually quite large. So you do have that. I've seen that with quite a few Brave ones. And then you can just put that in there like that. And so you can have that size of the Dourinken. So I do like that as well. I'm glad that they put that in there. And then lastly, we get Might Gunner. Now this is his train mode. This is another character in Might Gaine. He does have a robot mode, but for this, you cannot transform him into robot mode. But this is pretty much the cannon that goes on the back of Might Gaine. So he has 2 modes for this. So pretty much what it is you're gonna do this. So you're gonna bring this out. You're gonna take this off here. All right, and then you have this adapter piece here. Get that to focus. All right, and then you get this adapter piece here that goes in here like this. And then when you raise this back up, he can hold. So you can use this pretty much like a normal gun. So that can be his handle. You can put this in his hand and he'll be able to hold this like this here. So you have that mode first. And then for the second mode or the cannon mode, let's go ahead and pull this out here. And then what you're gonna do, this is on the little track, this train part here. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna slide that out. So that comes off pretty easily. All right, and then what you're gonna do, you have these 2 parts here. You're gonna take this, rotate these. You do have another adapter piece for this part here. So you have this one here, so you'll just put that in there. That'll pretty much be the handle there. So you got this here, like that. And then you're gonna take these 2 pieces here, pull those down, pull these down, just like this. All right, you're gonna take the barrel part, that extends, just like that. So you've got that extension there, and then this will literally fold on top of it. And there you have the cannon mode for the perfect mode. And then this will go into the back of his backpack. That's how they have this one set, but we'll go over that here in a little bit. But that's what you have for Might Gunner. So that's what we have for his accessories. He doesn't get a ton in here, but I can understand why they made this a separate set, because this would have been nice with the original set, especially since it was so expensive, but I think that this one will do as well. And this option set actually was not that expensive. It was expensive for me since I live in the US, but not for people in Japan and in Asia. So now what we'll do is we'll kind of go over his weapons one by one, and we'll see what he looks like with all those things on. So here we have Might Gaine with some of his accessories on. So first we have the alternate head. So you do have that. Battery should still work here. Let's pull this out and then let's try to flip that up. Yeah, so the battery's head still lights up there. I didn't see why it wouldn't. So we just wanted to make sure that that works. I am glad to have a new head, especially since the first one broke on mine. So, but you do have that. So that does look good. Also the Might Gaine symbol here. Let me move his arm out of the way so you can see. But with the Might Gaine symbol here, that simulates the activation. So you can actually keep this, hold on, I'm trying to do this behind the camera with one hand here, hold on. So there we go. So now it will lock in place. And then it has a button on the top there, and you just slide that back and it'll pop open automatically, just like that. I will say that I like the original more just because, let's pull this off so we can see it. It's not that hard to pull off. You just have these 2 points here, and that will go into these 2 points here on the original and on this one. But if you look at these two, I like the original because the original, the Might Gaine symbol is more pronounced than this one. This is supposed to simulate it actually activating, but this would actually move forward in the show. So it's interesting how they did that, but I do like the original a little bit more, but I'm cool with them having this, even though I think you probably could have done that gimmick for this one. I don't know why. And then you could have just had one, but hey, I'm not gonna complain about that kind of stuff, but that's what you have for these. And then we have Might Gaine with the elongated blade. We usually, in the Brave community and in Super Robots, you call this the Obari pose, where you can see this, and I'm gonna pull him off of there just so you can see how that looks. So that's pretty much the viewpoint that you would see in the show a lot, even though I don't remember him doing this in the show that much, but he did do this in Super Robot Wars, and I think that's probably the reason why they added it. So you do have that. I will say that once you put the elongated blade on there, it is slightly heavy, so he will want to lean forward, but his feet are pretty long, and so he doesn't really have that many balancing issues for the sword. And while I have him in the semi-Obari pose, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring out the other acrylic stand that this guy came with. So I'm gonna bring this out. And what this is supposed to signify. Now this is interesting as far as the acrylic stand, because usually you only get one image, right? But you have a back image here and you have a front image there. So I think that that is pretty cool. This is the bottom piece there. So you would just stick this in here, just like this. You put that on there, just like that. And then what you'll do is he has this middle piece here, and this middle piece you can actually pull up. And you can simulate when he's doing the Dourinken and how he slices him in half. So they pretty much call that move the bamboo splitter. The term in Japanese is quite long, so I'm not even gonna try to say it, but pretty much what you would do is do that, and then you can slide this on here like this. Let's see if we can get it, there we go. Kind of like that. So you can have that like this. So you can kind of see that, and of course you would have this out. Now you would want to do this for the other blade that he has that came with the original one, but you can kind of simulate him getting sliced in half like that. So what we'll do actually, while we got him out, we might as well, let's pull this out and let's take out the Dourinken like this, and we'll pull this one off. And then we'll take off this hand here, and then we will put on the big boy there. And let's put him on there. Oh, and for those who were asking about if this actually did work, yes, it does. It does still come loose as far as the elbow joint. So you guys know I put some nail polish on that to thicken that up because this was coming out of socket every time I tried to extend the arm. It will still do it, but it doesn't do it nearly as much. So I can do it here. So what we'll do, let's take this arm here, and then we're gonna do it this way. And then we will change the angle like that. And then let's move him all the way back this way. Now, of course, like I said, that is gonna make him a little top heavy, so he's gonna want to lean over, and then you would just slide this on there like that. And let's see if I can get that in frame there, so you can kind of simulate. Let's go ahead and pull that back there. So you can kind of simulate him doing the bamboo slicer there on this. So I think that the acrylic stand is an interesting touch. I do like it. So now what we'll do is we'll do Mike Gunner, and we'll see what he looks like with the perfect mode cannon on. So here we have Great Might Gaine perfect mode. So in essence, this is Mike Gunner on the back. It does connect to the backpack. I'll show you that here in a little bit. And then of course I've got the regular Dourinken in his hand to kind of simulate the box art from the DVD release way back when. So I think that this looks solid. It doesn't really add that much weight. This, believe it or not, is actually quite light considering what it's got in there. Now, of course, if you started adding die cast and stuff to it, it would get heavy. Now, I will say, because I'm sure people are wondering, well, is he still able to move his head? The answer is yes. I think especially with the gimmick that he has where you can kind of pull the head up, that does help this guy quite a bit, because generally speaking, especially compared to the majority of his body, like his head is relatively small, and especially with this part here. So it does look like they've got grooves that can go into, but I haven't really had any problem with it. So, but you can do that. So I think it does look really, really good. So let's take a look at the back of it so we can kind of see how you connect this. Now, one thing about this cannon is that you can do it on both sides. So it's gonna be easier to kind of show you what you have to do on the other side here. So pretty much what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this back piece, and then you're gonna have to lift this up. So you pull that out like that, and then you have this middle part here, and then you pull that out, and that comes out here. So you're able to pull that out, and then you would just slide it in there for the most part. So we can do this. Let's pull this out here without him trying to come apart there. And then you would just be able to slide that in there just like that. Boom, and now he's got it on the other side as well. So that is pretty cool that you can do it on both, even though normally I think in the show and stuff, I think we only saw him have it on his right side. So, but I do think that that is cool that they can do that, and it locks in there pretty good. It's not really gonna go anywhere or anything like that. So I think that that is cool. So what we're gonna do is, while we have the cannon out, we're gonna transform him back into the normal gun mode, and we'll see how that fits in his hands. So here we have the other gun mode for Mike Gunner. So this is interesting how they have this. Now I will say that this does add significant weight to the top of this. So if you've got him in a dynamic pose, he will try to topple over. So, but I think that this is pretty cool. And then what you have here, and let's go ahead and pull this out of his hand so I can show you. So with this handle here, you can actually rotate that to the side, and that'll, because this is quite long, so you might not be able to hold it properly, but having it this way, you can actually rotate that around in either hand. So I think that that will kind of give you a little bit more maneuverability with him, especially since he's so long. So I think that that is pretty cool. And then also they have a part where you can put the wires in that we got. Remember, we got 2 new wires. So you can put that on Mike Gaine as well. So what we'll do is let me grab the wires here and we'll take a look at that real quick. So in order to connect the wires, you have these 2 holes here and here, right at the bottom here. And it's gonna be very difficult to see with my lights, but there are 2 holes here. So what you would do is you just take the wire part and you would stick it in there like that. And then you can stick the other one in there as well, because he has one on both sides like this. If I can get it in there. So, and let's put this other one back on here so you can put it in there. It is quite tiny, so it is a little difficult for my big old hands, but you can get it in there like that. So you can have the wires, and then what you'll need is you'll need to grab Great Might Gaine, and he's got a part where you can connect the wires into as well. So in order to get Mike Gaine ready, what you'll want to do is it's this little piece here. Now it does look like it's die cast, and you're going to need some grip in order to get this out, but you would kind of take this and pull that out there. It's this little piece here. It is plastic though. It did look like it was die cast, but it's not. All right. And then what you would do is we'll grab Mike Gunner here, and you would just slide these wires in there like this. So you can kind of simulate it being powered up by Mike Gaine. So you kind of have those in there. There's not really any hole, at least not that I see, that you can really put that in there like that, but you would put this in there. See if I can get it in there. Okay. And then put this other one in. So I don't know if this one is worth it, to be honest. But I mean, it can do it. So of course, trying to do this behind a camera where I can't really see, but there we go. So we kind of got it in there. If we can keep it in there. So it looks like you're really only supposed to have 1 wire in there, not 2. And of course this other one came out, but you can kind of simulate him being able to plug this in. So you can either plug it in here or you can plug it in here, which actually makes a little bit more sense, even though I don't know if that's actually supposed to go in there, but yeah, kind of like that. So I don't know if this gimmick is really worth it. I don't think it works all that well, especially since this is just kind of resting in this spot here. It's not really plugged into anything. So it'll come out all the time. So I don't know if that's worth it, but you can simulate that as well. And then lastly, we're gonna do the Double Dourinken. So in essence, really I had to pull the other one out from the other set. So you get 2 of these. And so what you're gonna do is you're just gonna pull the hilts off and stick the double hilt on just like that. We'll do the same one to this one. Pull that one off and put this in here. Like that, boom, and then we'll take the blades off and put the gold ones on to kind of show that it's been charged up. Just like this. Boom, just like that. And then we will put this on him. Yeah, now the interesting thing about the Double Dourinken is that in the show, at least not to my knowledge, he did not do this as Great Might Gaine. He did this as regular Mike Gaine. He'd actually shed off Mike Kaiser. So And this was for the final battle that Might Gaine had, but you do see this in Super Robot Wars. So he does do the Double Dourinken as Great Might Gaine there. So it is pretty cool. I do like it. I don't know if it's worth the hassle of trying to get this pose together, but I am glad that he can do it. So it does look pretty good, I must admit. So that's pretty much what we've got for this option set. So now we'll get into final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy, Great Might Gaine. This option set, I will give it props. I think that they did this option set really, really well. There's a couple of things that it's missing though. There are a couple other attacks that he did do that you don't get in this set. You would need effect parts for them, like the signal beam, that's the head cannon, and the chest beam, that weapon. I think getting a effect part for that, I think would have gone well. I think Might Gunner, I think this does what it needs to do. I think that it's pretty sturdy. The fact that you did get the other mode, even though I don't really like how the wires were connected all that well, the holes are really, really small. And I don't know. To me, it was more work than it was worth. And then the fact that you get the Double Dourinken, even though kind of getting his hands to collapse together is a little bit difficult. And I don't know if it's really worth the hassle of trying to get that done. I was struggling to get that done, but it can do it. So I think getting the Double Dourinken is good. Getting the alternate Might Gaine symbol, even though I like the original one that I have on him right now, I like that one better than the one we get in this option set, just simply because the MG or the Might Gaine symbol in the center is more pronounced in the original one that we got with the original set versus the option set. Because the other one that you can collapse, that one, that Might Gaine symbol in there is pretty small, but I do like the fact that you do get an alternate version of that. You also get an alternate version of the head. I think that is really good, especially since my first one broke. And even though I was able to fix it, even if I have a problem with that one, I will be able to have a second head. So I did like that as well. And I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say that this is probably the second best Brave figure that I own. I think that it's that good. The level of detail, the articulation is really good. He is relatively stable. Now granted, once you start putting the huge swords on him and stuff, yes, he can get a little wobbly that way to where he will fall over. But I would say for the most part, he is very, very stable. I would say the only one that I would put this over is the Metamorphosed Super Fire Dagon, simply because that one can transform versus this one. Even though I'm not big on transformations, I know that a lot of Brave fans like to see them transform. And the fact that that one can transform, and that one is slightly bigger than this one by about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch or so, I think that if they had made this one slightly taller. Now, as far as, because Good Smile has the height on it, and I know a lot of people want their figures to be very, very big, but it doesn't have the level of detail that this has. It doesn't have the articulation that this has. And you could say, well, but they're charging less. Generally speaking, they're really not. Once you get the entire set, you're talking about Might Gaine, Mike Kaiser, the stand, and they're getting another option set so he can actually bend his hand so he can do the salute that we see when Great Might Gaine is introduced. You're still talking about $400+ to where this guy was about $330, $350, and then the option set was another $100 to $150. I'm just ballparking it as I can't remember how much I paid for it. I'll do it when I actually do the editing on it. But I think that if they had the detail and the articulation that this guy has, plus it could transform, that would be the ultimate version, I think. But I still like this version. And also for shelf space, this is perfect for me. Those Good Smile ones, especially in their combined forms, those get really, really big. And so unfortunately, you don't have a lot of room with those. So other than that, I think that this set is great. I love it. I think it's a good display piece. If you are a fan of Might Gaine, I would probably recommend that you get this. I would say that this is probably the best Might Gaine that I've seen. So I think that this is the one to get here. So anyway, so that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. Send this out to all of the Brave fans. Send this out to all of the Great Might Gaine fans. And I will catch you in the next one.